How's it going, guys? So we got the whole fam jam going on here. Dewey's sleeping, Bubba is staring at Hannah over there. So we just wanted to quickly talk about all the sacrifices that we'd have to make living in a tiny house and also living off the grid as well, or as off grid as we can make it. So with the electricity as well as with the water, we're not going to have any natural gas. We will have like an internet connection, but yeah, we will be mostly off the grid. So one of the first main sacrifices that we made that created a lot of hoopla on these videos is the lack of a bathroom sink. Now people have been going like ape shit over this. Basically, people have been saying like, oh, I would never go visit your house and blah 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 blah. It's like,
or eat your food because like you guys are disgusting and da 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 da.
Yeah, somebody actually called us disgusting.
Yeah.
They're like, yuck, that is disgusting.
Right.
It's like, whoa. All right, ease up there. It's not your house.
Calm down.
It's our house. So we can choose to design our house whatever we want, but that's one of the sacrifices that we're willing to make in the bathroom, just because there isn't a ton of space.
There isn't any room for a sink. We wouldn't have any place to put it unless we wanted to sacrifice an entire cabinet, like floor to ceiling cabinet of storage, which our only storage really for clothes and like
a lot of stuff like brooms and cleaning stuff and all that kind of stuff is in the bathroom. Like we don't have any other place for clothing. So we're trying to keep like the design as minimal and as simple within the house, like kind of like more the house part, and then the bathroom is like where most of the storage is going to be. In order to put a sink in there, we could have put one like right underneath the window, but then it's kind of like blocking off going into the shower
and the cabinets
and the cabinets as well, and the sink would have to be like tiny as well. It's not like you could, you know, really wash your face, and like it's this like tiny little sink, right? So I know a lot of people who have tiny houses and they put sinks in their bathroom. They kind of felt like it was a waste because it was so small, and the only thing that they can realistically do in it is just like brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Which you could just do just by getting a little bit of water from the shower anyways.
I've always brushed my teeth in the shower anyway. Like before Derek and I started dating, I had a toothbrush holder in my shower, and I'd jump in the shower in the morning and like rinse off and just brush my teeth, and then I'd go about my day, and like at the end of the day I always take like my good shower, like where I wash my hair and all that kind of stuff, and I'd brush my teeth again. It wasn't like a big deal. Plus you're wasting less water because you can wash your face and you can brush your teeth while you're showering. Like you're not just constantly turning on the sink to like wash your hands and wash your face. And just because we don't have a sink in the bathroom doesn't mean like that we're totally like unhygienic and da 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 da. Like we always wash our hands before we make food because we're always like touching the dogs all day and petting them and like touching other things, and our hands get dirty.
You wash your hands before you make food. I don't, but
I'm not eating your food. I always wash my hands before I make food just because I did work in the food industry, and like that's just what we were taught. So yeah, but I think if you're at home like and you don't wash your hands after every single time that you go to the bathroom, like I don't think it's the biggest deal. Plus you can wash your hands in the shower. It's not that big of a deal. I could see maybe like guests coming over and having a problem with it, but it's our house, and how often are we gonna have guests that we're not gonna put a teeny tiny little sink, like an airplane sized sink in our bathroom to wash our hands and brush our teeth when we can easily do it
in the shower or in the kitchen sink. So then people are like, oh, that's disgusting, that's where you prefer. It's like, just get over it.
We also don't have a flush toilet in our house, so that's like another thing that we have to sacrifice, just because how much water does it, like it uses a shitload of water.
30% of like domestic water use is just to flush the toilet. So 30%, which is ginormous. That's a huge amount of water. Most of it is totally potable, like it's all good water. It's like fresh, clean drinking water that's used and just flushed down the toilet.
Yeah, and then all of it goes into sanitation places and ends up in waterways or whatever happens to it. Like we just feel it's a lot better for us to just compost our crap. Which people think is weird, but I mean there's entire books on it. I always think about like back in the day, you know, before we were really like super civilized and stuff, like people weren't, you know, living in houses in like cities and stuff like that, when people were living in villages, they had outhouses and they just went to the bathroom in the woods, and like it's not like they washed their hands every single freaking time, and they were a hell of a lot healthier than we are now. Like as long as you eat a healthy, clean diet and you're healthy and you take care of yourself, you're not gonna get friggin' like deathly sick from this kind of stuff.
Without using a flush toilet, that's another big thing obviously for water conservation. We want to try to run as much off of just like 100% rainwater as possible.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a really, like the toilets is like the huge, like just
the biggest thing.
Takes so much water. Something else that we're gonna have to be really mindful of is when we're on solar is like when are we actually really using a lot of the electrical appliances. So for like cooking food and the air conditioning, like that stuff will only realistically be able to be used during the day for the most part, when it's actually sunny out and the panels are getting you know maybe 3,000 or 4,000 watts coming into them, so that we're not really going to be dipping down into the batteries like during the evening time, the night time. So that's like something else to consider as well, especially if you're using solar, is you have to kind of like space out or like be mindful of when you're actually going to be using those electrical appliances.
And we don't cook food like all day or anything like that. We usually cook a huge batch of red lentil chili or like corn chowder or something like that once, and then we'll have it for 2 or 3 days, and we just eat rice. Like every single morning we cook rice, and like we're not really cooking food all day or anything like that. So it's not that big of an issue with us because it's just the two of us and we eat really simply and stuff like that. But the other thing with cooking is we're not gonna have an oven, so we're basically just gonna have an induction cooktop. We're gonna have our rice cooker, we'll have our Instant Pot, and then obviously like a Vitamix and stuff like that. But we won't have an actual oven, and people are like, how are you gonna cook cookies and like brownies and muffins? I'm like, when was the last time you guys saw me cook a cookie or a brownie or a muffin? Like the only thing that I ever even make in the oven is fries, and I just made a video the other day on my channel how to make them on the stovetop. We're also gonna, what are we gonna get? An earth oven, so we're gonna
we'll have to build it.
We'll have to build an earth oven. We might also get like a solar oven, which I honestly don't think that we would even need one of those.
No, you never know.
It might be cool to have it, but there's so many unconventional ways to like get around this kind of stuff, which I wouldn't even say that these things are like sacrifices. It's just a different way of thinking. Like you're saving so much water because you don't have a flush toilet. You're not constantly turning on a sink just to wash your hands and brush your teeth and wash your face when you could just take a shower or like whatever. You know, it's just, you know, things that we have to think about, like doing our laundry in one huge load. What we were gonna do was get a tiny little one of those compact washers and put it in our bathroom, but after we thought about it, we're like, we might as well just use that for storage and make a washer house or like in our pump house.
Yeah, the pump house.
We're gonna have a washer, but it'd be more economical to have a full-size washer and only use it once than to have like a tiny little washer we can't even fit our bedding and stuff in.
There's so many little things to think about, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people have noticed in the comments and through watching a lot of these videos, is because there's so much thought that has to go into like a tiny house, because there's so much limited indoor space. So you really have to like make the most of like every inch. Storage and everything. Yeah, and so that's like obviously another challenge with like living in a small space, is that you have a limited indoor space. But I don't like, because right now our apartment's about 420. It's not about 420 square feet. It's 420 square feet. And the tiny house is going to be about 260, 270 if you include the living space and the lofts, which for a tiny house is like probably a pretty general size, maybe a little bit on the bigger end. Downsizing from this to going into the tiny house, I don't think it's going to be that big of a challenge for us. Yeah. I think that we'll actually have more space because we obviously have 40 acres of land, and we're gonna have an entire outdoor living area where we'll have like a table and we'll be able to sit outside, and we could even get like a grill or something. We'll have a fireplace and an earth oven, and like we'll be outside a lot. Like we're not really gonna, I mean, we'll be in our tiny house obviously like cooking and doing like work and stuff like that in the days that it's really hot and stuff, but we're probably gonna be outside like 50-50. Just because right now we have an apartment, we don't even have like a
balcony or a patio or anything like that on our apartment. We have no outdoor space. So everything that we have inside that could be outside is like, we have a table that like we'll put outside, and I have plants, and like we have all this other stuff. Like our bikes won't be inside of our tiny house. They'll be in like locked up somewhere else. So it's just kind of rearranging everything. But people think that it's like a small space, but we're really gonna actually have way more space.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely have way more space. Like, it's just gonna be easier to be outside. Right now, it's just like in the afternoon especially, like the sun beats down right on the front of our apartment.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just not the most comfortable. But how we're gonna be positioning the house, like the sitting area is always gonna be shaded because it's gonna be on the right, or on the opposite side of where the sun's gonna be hitting the house. So
South
it's gonna
side?
be, what's that?
The south side?
It'll be on the north side. The south side is the side that gets the sun. So everything will be on the north side so that it's like shaded, and it'll just be much more enjoyable to actually be outside. So like having a limited indoor space in the tiny house itself is not going to be that much of a drawback, I don't think, for us.
Yeah.
But there are sacrifices that you still have to kind of make with certain things that you can't necessarily have in a tiny house. Well, I guess you technically can.
I mean, you
It's
could
like
have an oven, and you could have a sink in the bathroom, and you could have a flushable toilet, but the way that we want to live, like off the grid and really saving energy and saving water and stuff like that, that doesn't make sense with like our vision, you know? The inside of our house is gonna be like really nice. It's exactly the way that we want it. It'd be the same if we built an 1,800 square foot house. Like, it's gonna be really high end, and nothing's gonna be like crappy quality or anything like that. So everything will be the way that we want it. It's just we're living in a really small house, just because we don't need a big house. Like, even now our apartment's too big for us.
Yeah.
And the dogs will have more room because they'll be outside all day, and we'll have a greenhouse, and we'll just have all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff.
So I just think a lot of people sit behind their computers and they're like keyboard warriors, and they're like, well, I would have done this and I would have done that. It's like, why don't you go build a tiny house then and show us how you would have done it? Because like when you're actually building it and you're looking at the space, like even when I watch the videos, in my mind, I think that the house is a lot bigger. And then I get inside the house, I'm like, holy buckets. Like, this freaking bathroom is tiny. Like, it is not big. Even still, I think like we're gonna have all this storage. It's like, no, it's like this much storage in our bathroom, floor to ceiling. Not a lot of storage. Like, we don't have a lot of space. And I just think people are like, oh, that's such a big tiny house, because it looks so tall and it looks wide from like the way that we put the siding on. But if you guys all came and you got inside of it, you'd be like, this thing is freaking small.
Especially once the furniture goes in and the cabinets go in, like it starts getting pretty small pretty quickly. Yeah. So it looks bigger now, possibly. I don't think it looks. I don't think it looks very big. But
I mean, even when you go in it, it's just small.
It's small. Like, it's a small house. It's only 8.5 feet wide.
I could do like 2 cartwheels from like one side to the other, literally. Like, it's one. No, I couldn't even do a full cartwheel from like the width of the thing. Like, I'd knock a window out. It's very small. So. But just keep that in mind, because I know it looks a lot bigger on camera.
Yeah, so this is kind of, so a lot of this is going to be like an experiment for us. It's like, we've never done this before. Not a lot of people live in the Arizona desert in a 200 square foot tiny house, and trying to live like completely off the grid and stuff, doing rainwater catchment in the desert. Yeah. Like, it's not normal, all right? So this is going to be an experiment, so maybe there's going to be mistakes made along the way, but you always figure those out.
And we definitely do appreciate your guys' comments, because you guys have given us like a lot of good feedback and stuff, like with the hot water in the kitchen. Like, we initially didn't really think we needed it, and we were like, well, we might as well put it in. It takes like 5 minutes, which it took like an hour.
But that's because we were gonna do a 6-gallon electric water heater before.
And now we're gonna do 40-gallon.
Yeah, but we're gonna do like solar hot water as opposed to, which is gonna pose even more kind of like. Because we probably wouldn't have like hot water right in the morning, like piping hot water in the morning. We probably only have like really hot water like in the afternoon and the evening.
But we only really shower in the evening.
Exactly. So we'll have to, all kinds of stuff.
We'll have to brush our teeth in the bathroom with cold water.
Oh my god.
Wash our hands.
Who would use hot water to brush their teeth anyways?
I don't know, might be more sanitary.
Maybe somebody does. Alright, thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next video. So right now, just getting the insulation and the drywall sorted out. Then once that is all done, lots more construction videos. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace.